One of the most frustrating things I went through on my fat loss journey is seeming to lose weight everywhere else except my stomach. So what I want to do in today's video is go over the real reason why you're not losing belly fat and the tactics and step-by-step guide that I use to break through and finally start seeing results. Guys, if you don't know who I am, my name is Jonathan. I went from 250 to 177. I lost over 70 pounds through trial and error, and I make videos like this to give you realistic and effective strategies that actually work, so you have to waste time doing things that don't. So quick backstory about me. I shared this in a previous video, but my turning point in my fat loss, I was about to say career, but in my fat loss journey was when I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. I was actually at work. I did sales. I used to sell furniture. I was selling furniture to a family, and I caught a glimpse of myself, and I did not recognize the person in the mirror. And to be honest with you, I let myself get to a point where it was almost a little bit embarrassing to, be walking around that size and not being proud of where I was at. So it was at that moment, where I hit a turning point where I said I could either stay the same or I could actually decide to do something about it. And that's when I actually made a conscious decision, and we started to build this step-by-step plan that I'm gonna go over now to help get rid of that belly fat. So the real reason why you're not losing belly fat, it has nothing to do about you not doing enough crunches. It has nothing to do about ab workouts, none of that stuff. To be honest, what I found that a lot of that stuff really doesn't even drive the needle forward anyways when it comes to you getting rid of belly fat. The real reason is that a lot of people don't have a simple system that they can follow, that they can remain disciplined and consistent with. Like, you're trying little tips here and there, but there's no real structure that can get you from point A to point B. But lucky for you, I have this structure, and I can't remember everything off the top of my head, so I'm gonna read it off a phone. So pretty much anytime it comes down to fat loss, I say in my videos in the very beginning when I first started making content, it came down to calories, macros, and activity. And it's the same exact thing. We want to make sure that we focus on calorie control. We want to make sure that we have consistent workouts that have structure, not just random workouts, that our workouts have structure to them. And then we want to make sure that we take all these steps and condense them down to the small daily bites so we can have daily discipline, but there's small, consistent actions that we can do every single day. Because there's a small stuff that adds up over time that's going to give us the big result. And with those three things that I mentioned, the calorie control, consistent workouts, and a daily discipline, most guys fail, not because they can't do it. It's just that what I found that most people end up quitting when they start getting some progress. And this definitely happened for me in my life. When I started to lose about that 25-pound mark, I started to lose about 25 pounds. I felt like in my mind I had it, because what got me to lose, first 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and then all the way to 25, I thought I had it under control. And typically what starts to happen, and once you start to think you have something under control, you start to let certain things slip. So for me, it was like tracking certain nutrition or skipping certain workouts or sneaking in certain snacks and back into my diet. I'm eating donuts again. I'm eating cookies again. And the next thing you know, I look up, now I'm 35 pounds heavier. When I done lost 25 pounds, now I'm 35 pounds heavier, and I done fell off the bandwagon. So when it came down to the lesson of consistency, what it taught me, especially when it comes to consistency for fat loss, what it taught me is that you cannot rest on your past success, right? It's good to have some past success. Like, I've done this before. I've lost 25 pounds. But the thing that's going to help you lose 25 pounds and what's going to help you lose 100 pounds is the same thing if you keep going. The problem is you cannot rest on your past success believing that, it's going to carry you into the next week or next month or even next day. And a lot of us know this, but there's a difference between knowing and doing, right? There's a difference between knowing and doing, and there's a difference between doing for 3 weeks and doing for 3 months. There's a difference between doing for 3 months and doing for 3 years. What we want is that longevity and a long consistency. And if we can break this down to a simplified plan for daily activity, it'd be super easy. All right, tactic 1, you want simple nutrition food. Simple nutrition food. What do I mean by that? Simple calorie deficit meals, okay? I don't keto, carnivore, all the other stuff. What you need to do is be in a calorie deficit. If you watch anything on fat loss on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you probably heard this term so many times, you're probably tired of it. But it's the truth. You need to be in a calorie deficit. It does not have to be complicated. You can find simple meals. I got this little screenshot up here right now. Is a meal structure framework prioritizing protein. It is the number one thing that's going to help keep you in a calorie deficit. This comes out of my ebook, Realistic Guide for a Six-Pack Physique, From Gut to Six-Pack. The link for that is going to be down below. But this framework is like the best thing I feel like that I've used to help me go from a gut to a six-pack, because you prioritize protein. And when you do that, protein keeps you full. You snack a lot less. You get to stay in a calorie deficit, and you're eating foods that help build muscle mass as well too. The structure for that is real easy. And again, I don't do complex recipes. I'm telling you right now, you're never gonna see me in the kitchen with a cookbook telling you to saute, chop this, chop that, drop this. I'm not doing none of that stuff. I'm really simple when it comes down to it. This is my meal structure typically, even to this day. A meat and a side. It's going to be a lean protein source and probably some potatoes, or a lean protein source and maybe some veggies. I keep it really simple because for me, it's easy to track, and I find foods that are enjoyable to me that actually can fit around my lifestyle. All right, tactic number 2, you want to track your calories. Now, a lot of people are like, for whatever reason, you're like super resistant to like tracking calories or entering food in the app. It takes like 4 seconds to do. It takes 4 seconds to do. And let me tell you something. I'm real big on tracking calories because it's going to give you a foundation of what you are actually eating day by day. It's going to be really difficult to say, hey, I'm eating in a calorie deficit when you're not tracking. You really don't know. If I ask you how many calories do you need to maintain your weight and you don't know, you're not set up for fat loss. You're not set up for fat loss success because you don't know. If I say you're like, hey, I'm eating healthy, how come I'm not losing weight? Because you think you're eating healthy. What does that even mean? Are you in a calorie deficit? Do you even know? Right? Tracking is going to tell you all these things to make sure you're in a calorie deficit. And even if you are in a calorie deficit, how deep of a deficit is it? Are you tracking? Are you set up to lose a pound and a half a week? Are you set up to lose 2 pounds per week? Like, what does your deficit look like? Again, tracking is going to teach you all these things. And then you get to play with the numbers to see how you feel, because you could probably eat in a deficit to lose 2 pounds a week and feel great, right? You probably won't feel like you're starving yourself, especially if you get enough protein in it. But again, tracking is going to help that. And then let's just do the math real quick, right? Let's just do the math real quick. Let's just say if you want to lose X amount of pounds or whatever. So if you can lose 2 pounds per week, right? Times, let's say we're going to do it for the next 5 weeks. If we lose 2 pounds a week, that's going to be 10 pounds, right? So tracking will give you those numbers, and then you can kind of almost predict your results. So for me, and now, are they 100% accurate? Absolutely not. But for me, it was a big motivating factor because I use MyFitnessPal, and there's a little button at the bottom that says complete diary, and the little message pops up that says if every day was like today, you would weigh X amount of pounds in 5 weeks. That was a motivating factor for me. So I know if my protein intake was at 170 and this is my carbs, and my calories were between these numbers, I'm going to be roughly around this weight in 5 weeks. That was a motivating factor for me, and that is a big motivation push, especially for you guys if you guys are looking to get faster results. All right, getting back on track. Tactic number three that I still use to this day, is daily movement. You already know what I'm about to say if you've been watching my videos for some amount of time. I'm going to tell you walking, getting your daily steps in, but I'm not going to just say walking outside. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. I always champion walking on a treadmill. If you don't have a treadmill, there's a list of treadmills that you can buy on Amazon for cheap, anywhere from $100 to $600 if you want to spend more money, $700 if you want to spend more money. Regardless, I would say get a treadmill that has an incline on it. You have that at your house, and you can just use that to get your daily steps in. The reason why I'm always pushing walking on a treadmill is because it pulls the excuse out of your mouth. If it's raining, if it's cold, if it's whatever outside, it pulls the excuse out of your mouth, and you can just walk at your house, whether you got an apartment, a home, or whatever, you can just get your steps in. So there's no excuse for you not to get your daily steps in and not to burn calories because you have a treadmill at your house. And it also pulls the excuse of you don't have time to go to the gym. You don't have to worry about it because, again, you have a treadmill at home. Tactic number 4, this is a biased one. Obviously, this is one that applies to me, but I'm going to say it applies to you too because, I did serve in the military, and this was to have military level of discipline when it comes to accomplishing goals. Even if you didn't serve in the military, there was a period in your life where you had to apply a level of discipline in order to get a result. If you are a college graduate, if you have a difficult job, or whatever it is, you're certified to do something difficult, there was a period in your life where you had to exercise a lot of discipline in order to get something. Some of you guys may be crushing in your career. That same discipline that you have in your career, you need to transfer it here to this fat loss journey. And it's going to be a lot easier now that we have these steps. All you got to do is take that same energy and apply it here and make it easy for you. Tactic number 5, that's really good to use. That this is a bonus because I necessarily didn't have this. I had one buddy that was also trying to lose weight when I was going through my weight loss process. But I can tell you from the experience that I had when I served in the military is that when you first join in basic training, and again, I know another military story, right? But bear with me. When you first join in basic training, they give you something, especially in the Army, they give you something called a battle buddy. This person is almost assigned, you guys almost conjoined at the hip, but you guys kind of have to do almost everything together. So it goes the same way when it comes down to accountability in your fat loss goals. What makes the military and fraternities and all that stuff so close knit is that there's also a level of accountability in those groups that you do not get anywhere else. Okay, like, yeah, you know, you get them at your job and stuff like that, but it's different, right? The level of accountability that you get in those groups are completely different than how it is anywhere else. And that's almost, if you can have something like that, that's almost what you need as well too. Because there's a lot of times, there's a lot of us, and I'm not going to say you guys, I was like this way too, where you can consume information online, you take in all the information, but I know, like, there's plenty of times I took in a bunch of information, I ain't do nothing with it, right? It was a good video, I commented, yeah, I'm gonna get started tomorrow, ain't do nothing, right? If you have a community that you can be a part of, you have a community you can be a part of, everybody's pursuing the same goal, you need to find something like that. And if you are looking for something like that, guys, I do have a community. The link for that's also going to be down below. But again, like-minded people, you're going to get meal plans, workout plans, and everybody's pursuing the same goal. And we do a coaching call every Saturday. And you could be watching this like, yeah, bro, I hear all that, but how do I make this practical for me? That's good that you was in the military. That's good that you figured this out, but I don't know if this is going to work for me. All right, so let's make this practical for you. All right, we already know we got a track, okay? No matter what, I don't think you can dance around that. If other people are telling you to dance around that, I'm gonna tell you not to listen to them, because in the beginning, that tracking is going to give you a foundation of understanding nutrition labels, of understanding fat loss nutrition, or understanding calories, macros, all those things. So I definitely going to tell you to take an audit of the food that you eat. Again, you can only do that by tracking. So I would download MyFitnessPal. You can do the free version. If you want to download that other app where you take a picture of your food, you can do that too. But what I'm going to tell you to do is start to take inventory of everything that you typically eat in a day. You don't have to try to switch it up. Just eat normal like you normally eat and start to track it. Then you're going to start to really see where your calorie count is for the day. Or you'll start to really realize how much snacking you're doing, or how much useless calories you're putting in your body that could be used for protein or good carbohydrates. And speaking of macronutrients, I would say the second step to make this more practical for you is to have a protein goal in mind. I typically, for most grown adult men, that if you can get between 150 grams or a little bit higher, you should be fine there, especially when it comes to fat loss. In most cases, that's enough to maintain your muscle mass or even build muscle, and it's enough to keep you full. Honestly, most people don't even get 100 grams of protein a day. So 150 may feel like overkill in the beginning, but just understand that it's necessary. You have to think differently about food, because what we tend to do when we go out to restaurants or whatever, they tend to backfill your food with a lot of fat and carbohydrates, and none of that stuff is really going to be conducive for fat loss, okay? Not saying fats and carbohydrates are bad, but in the proportions that they give them to you, they're not going to be good for you. What we want to do is make sure we get more protein than anything, because again, that's going to satiate our stomach, that's going to help build muscle mass. So usually around that 150 mark, most people, this is a generalization right now, most people typically feel full, feel satisfied, satiated, and then it's enough to maintain muscle mass or even build muscle. All right, again, and then to make it practical for you, again, I told you about walking. If you don't have a treadmill yet, you can still walk outside, or if you go to the gym, again, walk on the treadmill. I would say 10 incline, 3.1 miles an hour. If you have not been doing this walking thing, or you may be new to it, just give this a shot. Give this 10 incline, 3.1 miles an hour for like 40 minutes, 45 minutes, give that a shot. If you say 45 minutes, that's too long. Bro, let me tell you something. Walking is the easiest workout you can ever do. If you track your calories, be in a calorie deficit and then walk, you're gonna drop body fat, okay? You're gonna drop body fat. I'm almost scared to say it, but I'm gonna say it anyways. With those two things alone, you're gonna see good results, okay? Now, the other point I was going to tell you is to make sure you incorporate some strength training. Someone hit me up on Instagram and asked if they could get a ripped athletic physique with dumbbells. You 100% can, because most of your results are going to come from nutrition anyway. So when I bring up the gym, don't feel discouraged that you have to have a gym membership. Really, technically, all you need is 2 dumbbells and a treadmill. If I'm going to tell you to purchase anything at home, 2 dumbbells, right, and a treadmill, and you would be good to go. So if you can walk daily and you couple that with, some weight training, exercises that you can do. If you work out at home, you can do them with dumbbells. If you go to the gym, again, I got plenty of other videos talking about a gym workout routine you can use. I'm just going to tell you right now, I typically would go for a full body split. So I would work my legs, back, chest and shoulders, core, and I would try to do cardio after that. But that's the full workout routine I would go for, whether it be machines or barbell exercises. And then you make these things a non-negotiable. Like, there is no other option, bro. Like, we got to get this done. That's it. There is no other option. Like, I talked about in another video, when you are in the military or certain jobs or whatever, there is the standard and there's not meeting the standard. That's it. Like, we need to rise to the standard. So if you have this simplified plan, and really what it comes down to is just tracking food, being in a calorie deficit, getting protein, walking, and lifting some weights, we make these things a non-negotiable. Like the daily steps is a non-negotiable. The tracking the food is a non-negotiable. Eating more protein is a non-negotiable. You make these things a non-negotiable. Like, you will almost trick your brain into getting them done. But here's the overall takeaway I want you guys to understand too. Fat loss is a marathon, it's not a race. This thing takes discipline, it takes time, it takes consistency. What I aim to do here is make everything easier, so those discipline, time, and consistency is a lot easier because you have the step-by-step actions to take day by day. And if I can go from being, with a gut to a six-pack, or go from being 250 to 177, if I can do it, this is something that you can do too. And if you're tired of trying to do this by yourself, you kind of want some guidance and some more accountability in a community that can kind of help guide you along the way, guys, I do have a fat loss coaching community. Like I said, we do a coaching call every Saturday. It's meal plans, workout plans, and then it's all the help that we need for nutrition. I can't tell you how many times when I first started out in the beginning, I had to do a lot of things through trial and error. So if you're trying to skip the trial and error part and know exactly what to do, I recommend joining the community. It's a real laid back community. A lot of people in there are seeing results already. So again, if you're interested in something like that, the link's gonna be down below. But other than that, stay tuned for more content, and thanks for watching the video.